Okay, thought for the day, Gabriel.
Well, I guess I did lose weight, Father Great. Thanks for asking. Yeah. So my thought of the day, so I was chilling with my family the other night, and I was watching some movie. It was called Smile. And I don't know if anyone has ever seen it, but it's kind of like a non-realistic movie. But what I caught from it was that it's some being, it's some demon that lives off of trauma, and how this being stays alive as he enters someone who experienced severe trauma, and he gets them to commit suicide in front of someone else, and that person who sees it, he goes into them, and it goes on. So it goes on. And this lady couldn't understand what was going on with her until she went to go visit some guy who was for a hot one. But he had experienced something similar, and he told her, you have to stay away from trauma. You have to make sure that, well, I'm not going to say what he said because it's kind of violent. She has to do something in order to end the cycle. And it made me think about, growing up, a lot of us growing up, where we didn't know what was trauma. But a lot of us grew up, me, I seen serious domestic violence, drugs in the home, violence, abandonment, trust, all that stuff, and it was normalized. And one thing that we always have to understand is that whether we like it or not, all the kids that are growing up in our homes, we're teaching them. Every single day we teach them, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, and they're learning their mannerisms, they're learning how to conduct themselves, they're learning everything from us, how they present themselves and everything. I remember growing up, and so I was seeing all this violence, and of course I would go to school, and I never had an outlet. So I was at school, and I was very disrespectful with the teachers. I was always fighting. I was always getting sent home, and I was labeled as a bad kid. But the truth, I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't. I was a hurt, broken kid, and I was only so much, and I did not know how to live with it. And so, of course, the way it came out was with them fighting all the time. And I remember I would go to the office, and the ladies would roll their eyes at me when they see me, and I begin to own it, like, you know what, I am a bad kid then. But I never knew it because it was just normal. Where it gets very critical and very dangerous is when we normalize the trauma. And all my friends' house I will go to, all my friends' houses, same thing in their homes. Either no dad, no mother, their parents were on drugs, there was violence, there was always everything. And we were just running the streets, all unintended. And all those kids we all grew up together, and we all got into the same gang. All of us were always in the streets. We didn't want to go home to our truth, whatever our truth was. I know what mine was. So we come to Homeboy Industries. Came to Homeboy Industries, and not knowing how to keep a needle out of my arm, not knowing how to be in a relationship without using violence, not knowing how to be a father, and I had no idea. And I started going to therapy, started going to anger management classes, started doing everything that following the case plan that my case manager had in place for me, and I started realizing that all my violence, all my pain, everything came from my childhood, from my trauma. And once I was able to understand that, I was able to go back to my childhood, tend to those wounds that were not healed properly, and nurture them and tend to them so I could learn from them, and I could transform my trauma instead of transmitting it to others. All of us here, we all have the power to break a cycle, all of us. But first we have to realize that although we normalized it growing up, it doesn't have to be normal. I have a 9-year-old son that, I have custody of him, and I removed him from an unhealthy situation where he was living the same life I was living as a kid. And I was able to remove him to a home where thanks to Homeboy Industries, thanks to all the classes I've taken, parenting, anger management, everything, I'm able to provide him with a home where you don't see violence, you don't see yelling, you don't see drugs. And with that, I was able to break a cycle, just like all of us. We all have the power today to break a cycle. Thank you.